Okay, hi everyone, welcome again. Uh, Today we will continue our class from chapter 1. You know that you remember in last video we have seen all about the course outline of this course, and we have discussed everything available in our course on our course content. Okay, today we are continuing chapter 1. Okay. Uh, Yeroo darbe viidiyoo yeroo darbe irratti koorsa outlaayinii koorsii kana gadi fageenyaa walii wajjin ilaalleerra. Har'a immoo walumaa galatti chapter 1 boqonnaa tokkoffaa koorsii kanaa walii wajjin jalqabnaa jechuudha. Kanaaf gadi fageenyaan waan jiru walii wajjin akka ilaalluuf sirriitti akka hubattanii abdiin qaba. Koorsii kana kanatti fufna afaan lamaanidha. Afaan Ingilish language and afaan Oromoo. Sooma isinii danda'ametti sirriitti hordofuuf sirriitti hubachuuf yaalii godhaa isiniin jechuun barbaada. Generally, as we continue our chapter 1 of our course, this course is the fundamentals of database system, as you have seen in the course outline. Our chapter 1 is about the introduction of chapter 1. Chapter 1, okay? Introduction part of what about database, database system, data information, characteristics of database, functionality of database, database management system software, and the actors around the scheme who are going to interact with the database and how they are interact with the database by considering their ability to interact with the database. Okay, this maybe we will see in these chapters. The course content of our courses. We will see the basics of database. And then continuing to this topic, we will see the file organization versus database approach. What makes a difference? File organization, the database organization, and the users and the actors of the database, who is going to interact with the database, who is going to develop the database. Then how the user is, the end user is going to interact with the database. We will see in these chapters. And the characteristics of database. What behaviors is going to be the database characteristics and the actors of the who is going to act with the database, who is going to develop, who is going to use, who is going to be interact with the database. We will see in this chapter. Lastly, we will see the functionality of database. What functionality the database, the basic database, the good database, and the purposefully designed database functionality will be what we will see in these chapters. Lo'aadha chaaptarii kana keessatti maal ilaalla? Beeksisi haayilaaytii waa'ee daatabeezii kana keessatti daataan maal akka ta'e, infoormeeshinii maal akka ta'e itti aansuudhaan daatabeeziin immoo erga waa'ee daataaf daatabeezii ilaalleenne erga waa'ee daataaf infoormeeshinii ilaalleenne daatabeeziin immoo maal akka ta'e. Database management system software sun immoo maal akka ta'e akkamitti immoo database management system sanatti fayyadamnee database keenyatti access gochuu dandeenya, database keenya lafa inni jiru bira geenye data keenya akkamitti fayyadamuu dandeenya, database management system software sana gargaaramnee waan jedhu ilaalla. Achi booda faayiliif database garaagarummaan isaa maal akka ta'e, faayilli maalidha, database immoo maal akka ta'e gadi fageessinee ilaalla. Sana booda garaagarummaan faayilaaf database maali? Faayilli manual case in previous one akkamitti faayilli fayyadamaa akka turre, database immoo gaafa dhufu maaltu faayila irraas akka adda taasisee probleemota faayila keessa jiran kanneen akkam akkamii furuu danda'u waliin ilaalla jechuudha. Itti fufuudhaan amaloota functionality database functionality akkam akkamii maal godha database maaliif itti fayyadamna, maal immoo irraa arganna, generally what's the idea behind using of the database systems and users fayyadamtoota database wajjin immoo interact warra godhaa oolan aktaroota kuni kam ofitti qabata? Namoota end user direct database itti fayyadaman, namoota database develop godhani, then namoota immoo database develop ta'e sana userootaa fi day to day performance keessatti database maintain godhani problemii database sana keessa jiru yeroo yerootti namoota nuu furanii wantoota akkasii kanas keessatti ilaalla. Achii booda amaloota database system approaching qabu. Amala akkamii qaba? Maaltu database irra maaltu argama waan jedhu ilaalla. Then actors on the scheme. Namoota akkamiitu database kana fayyadama waan jedhu walii wajjiniin ilaalla jechuudha. This is what the course content, the content of this chapter 1. Now let me start it. As overview of the database. Most of us encounter several activities every day that involve some interaction with the database. Our day-to-day activity, our day-to-day interaction is going to be related with the database. Whatever we are going to interact with, our day-to-day life is interacting with the database. With our knowledge, indirectly, we are interacting with the database. Okay. For example, let me take suppose as the example, if we go to the bank to deposit or withdraw funds, if we make a hotel or airline reservation, if we access a computerized library catalog to search for a bibliographic item, or if we purchase something online, such as book, toy, or computer, this chance is going to be make us what? We interact us with the database. The chances that our activity will involve someone or some computer program accessing the database. Fakkeenyaaf baankii deemnee birrii keenya baafachuu yeroo dannu, birrii keenya kuufachuu dannu, birrii galchuu yeroo dannu, akkasumas hoteela deemnee hoteela ajaja adda addaa yeroo jennu akkasumas mana ciisichaa yeroo qabnu akkasumas buufata xiyyaaraa deemnee tikeetii ittiin filaayitii gochuudhaaf tikeetii gaafa kutannu kompiitara irratti wantoota adda addaa gaafa access goonu search gaafa goonu suuqii deemnee online marketingii deemnee e-commerce deemnee wantoota adda addaa gaafa deemnu hojiin hojjennu karaa beekamuuf karaa hin beekamne database wajjin kan access goonu nu godha jechuudha. Indi user otoo beekamtii kee tuunu beeknu isa tuunu hin beekne jechuun fakkeenyaaf namichi achirra taa'ee airline reservation system irra namichi taa'ee hojjetu suni osoo dirqama niidii keenya bakkaan nu ga'uudhaaf fedhii keenya nu guutuudhaaf tikeetii keenya nu qabee availability ticket availability chair availability hunda check godhee tikeetii keenya kutee nu kennuudhaaf that person should be interactive with the database. Then he or she may check the availability of the ticket, the availability of the chair, and availability of the seat, all whatever it is. For again, if you go to the e-commerce for buying something, that person that doing on that system should have to check the availability of that item we are going to buy. Then after checking the availability, you should have to give us our needs. That all things should be assessed, interact as with the database. Okay. And our day-to-day life makes us to interact with the database. So we are to journal to be go database. Then we go to Ragaro, let me see something as what is data? What's information? For example, let's say data gaafa jennu sana hunda bira ga'uudhaaf we should have to see what we mean by data. Then after understanding the data, we should have to know again the information. Okay, information. What information is going to be? Information means after understanding the information, these things is going to be combined with each other. They make again the database. We should have to know the database. What we mean by database. After we go to the database, then in order for accessing this database, we should have to know again database management software. We will come to this at the future. Database management system. This software. We have to know about this software. Then metadata for describing the data, general data about that. For knowing about this, we should have to know again metadata about data. After understanding these all things as the basic information as the catch-up, we can return back to our topic. Okay. What data is unprocessed fact or figures. Okay, it is unprocessed facts or figures. Okay, figures unprocessed fact. Wantoota data walitti qabamanii jiran wayii unprocessed arrange hin taane akka miniingi fuulii ta'anitti warri hin taa'in jiran maal jedhamu jechuudha. Data wantoota adda addaa walitti qabnee process goonee akka isaan hiika gahaa hin kenninetti hiika gahaa kennuu danda'anitti gaafa qindaa'anii hin jirre That is above the data. Unprocessed fact or figures. It is not used for what purpose? For decision making, since it was not arranged as for giving a meaning, since it was not arranged, since okay, since it was not arranged in proper way, it is not used. Decision making, okay. It is not for used for decision making. Okay. Information walitti qabamee ka gaa kennuu qabutti arrange ta'ee hin taane wantoota adda addaa bakka adda addaa we can gather it from the real world from anything that is all about. For example, if we say 24, then wagari obsi abdi dhallumanne wanti nu walitti qabnu kun something we are going to gather from the world is going to be the data amma wanti kun 24 24 wagari obsi warri jedhaman kuni daataadha walitti qabamaniiru. Maybe in the container, they can gather with each other, but they cannot give any meaning. They cannot solve any problem. This is all about data. When we come to the information, it is a meaningful, only meaningful fact or figure. It is meaningful fact or figures, okay, or figures. It is the data that's arranged. It is data that was arranged for conveying meaningful solution, okay. With the information, we can give any decision. It's used for decision. So, since it was meaningful, it is arranged in a proper way. It is used. It can used for decision. Used for decision making. For example. For example, in data, we have said data is unprocessed fact or figures that may not used for decision making, but the information is the meaningful for the facts from the data. We arrange our data and they make it as it is meaningful, then we got the information. So information is used for a decision making. For example, we can say the age of Wagari is 24. So this may convey meaningful information. It may used for the decision making. It may transfer a meaningful information. Some user may get just the general information or the general knowledge for making some decision based upon this information. Okay. So from the data, we make what information by arranging it in a meaningful way. Database. The database means that before going to the database, you should have to come to the DBMS. This DBMS it is a software. Okay, software used for assessing the database. For assessing software database assessment database management system. Database management system software ittiin database keenya assess goonuu fi daataan keenya walitti dabalamanii hundi isaanii immoo maal ta'u database system ta'u jechuudha. Database system. They import the data and the database DBMS data. Our data and the data have DBMS. DBMS can be with each other, combine each other with each other. They try make what the database. The metadata. The metadata is the data about data. Data about. We can say data about data. About data. Again, we can say it is a description, a general, or the additional description about the data. Description of the data, of the data, of the data. As a general, is the general information as the general culture. We have understand it about the data information, database system, database management systems, metadata. Okay, see if it is all generally it looks like. Let we turn back to our topics. So amma generally gara database keenyaatti deebi'uu dandeenya jechuudha. Basics of database. A database is an organized collection of structured information. The structured information and the organized one is combined with each other for making what? For making a database. Okay. The structured organized collection of structured information or data typically stored in electronically in computer system. Computer system keessatti kuufamanii jechuudha. Generally maaliif electronically stored in computer system jechuun kan barbaanneef wanti waa'een daataa kun hundi isaanii eessatti kuufamaniiru computer system keessatti kuufamanii waan jiraniif electronically stored in computer system kan jennuuf jechuudha. A database is usually controlled by a database management system. Later we come back to this. Gara fuulduraatti dhufna rakkoon qabu. DBMS kuni generally DBMS kanaan controlled database. Sababni isaa through this software we can access our data, we can change and manipulate our data, we can interact, retrieve meaningful information. What we need from our database. So this is software. What do you mean by database DBMS? Since we are going to, if we are going to interact with DBMS, we read our database through DBMS. First, we should have to understand what DBMS is. Okay, so DBMS is a software designed to store, retrieve, define, and manage data in database. Alchuudha, it is a software used to store data asirratti computer keenya irratti access goonee barreessinu from wherever we are going to use our data, from the hotel, from the online marketing or e-commerce, from the airline, from the bank, whatever it is, storing is the user data for storing the user data. We are going to use what? DBMS. Sababni isaa interact database keenya bakka inni jiru duubaanii access gochuudhaaf software kana qabaachuu qabna. Database management system software. Generally DBMS is database management system jennu kuni is a software. Maaliif nu fayyada? For storing our data, retrieving our data. Erga store goone inni immoo data barbaadnu tokko retrieve goone search goone. For example, in the database, for example, in one table, if the data of 10 users is available in the database or in the table. By typing the name of that person, so we can retrieve the information of that individual person. So data barbaadu search goone keessa baasuun nu fayyada. For defining ibsuudhaaf data keessa keenya define gochu. For example, suppose we are typing the name of some person. Since the name is going to be displayed by the strings, in definition we make the data as varchar and it is not null. We are going making what? Defining our data. The manage the data. Change gochuu dandeenya, alter gochuu dandeenya, manipulate gochuu dandeenya, delete gochuu dandeenya, disable gochuu dandeenya. Kana hunda gochuuf we are going to use what? The software known as DBMS. Again, we can define as what? It is a software used an interface between the end user and the database. Why we are going to say this interface between the end users and the database? Our database is available in another side as a server, as a backend, and the user is available here in our computer. By using this DBMS, we are interacting with our database. So, kanaaf maal jechuun danda'e interface dha userii fi database gidduu ta'e akka interface itti fayyada wal nu quunnamsiisa jechuudha. Database keenya lafa inni jiru access gochuudhaaf maal itti fayyadamna? Dirqama DBMS fayyadamna. User and the database simultaneously managing the data, DBMS sanatti fayyadamnee manage gochuu dandeenya, database design gochuu dandeenya, Database schema in order to facilitate the organization, the manipulation of the data. So it is the interface between, generally, it is the interface between the users, the end users and the database for accessing and making everything on our database. Okay, together the data and the DBMS along with the applications that are associated with them are referred to as a database system, of a shorter as a database. Generally, maal jechuudha kuni data hin jiraate, DBMS software hin jiraate, then application on immoo sana sochoosan achirratti gahee mataa isaanii hojjetaman walitti dabalamanii maaluma jechuudha database system or database keenya jechuudha. The continuing topic is typical database file management functionalities, the functionality of DBMS. The typical DBMS functionalities. As the first DBMS can make what? Define our data. Particular data define particular DBM in terms of its data types, structures, and the constructors. Database management functionality, it can define a database, as the first, it can make what? Define in terms of the data type, structures, and the constructors. For example, let me take you some tables in the database. We are constructing some tables, and for example, if we say we type some person's name, then in that person's name we can make what? It is data type varchar, and it is not null. Define what data type is actually structure in some constraint. A table is going to make what? Kanafi, one functionality of databases defines the functionality of DBMS is defines the database. Again, another functionality of database DBMS is construct a database. Load the initial database content is on a secondary storage media. Construct for example, in simple example, suppose we have one table. In that table, we can store something is the name of the person, the salary of that person, the age of that person, and the grade that person is going to score. All things is stored in that. When we are storing the data in that tables, we are constructing our database. Okay. Again, it can make manipulate the database. Another functionality of DBMS is manipulating the database. When we say manipulate the database, we can retrieve the database, we can modify, make some modification on the database, we can access, retrieve query. Query is not nothing. It is making what? It is searching something by typing the query. Just is a question. Search bar keenya irratti waan barbaannu barreessina gaaffii keenya gaafanna. Depending based upon our question, is going to make what? Retrieve the solution for us. Okay, based upon our question, generating reports. Kanaaf manipulate the database. Modification database keenya erga waan data itti dabaluu dandeenya, insertion, deletion isa jiru available waan delete gochuu dandeenya, update jijjiiruu dandeenya jechuudha. Accessing the database, access waan barbaanne barreessinee search gochuu dandeenya. Another typical database functionalities processing and sharing by set of current users. Process gochuu dandeenya, share gochuu dandeenya jechuudha. Process gochuu dandeenya, share gochuu dandeenya jechuudha data keenya. Okay. Sorry, I will come back. Wait me 2 minutes. Okay, only 2 minutes. Sorry guys for the interruption. Let me continue our topic. Typical database management system functionality is to define a database, construct a database, manipulate a database. So when you say manipulate a database, retrieving the database, modification of the database, accessing the database that we have stored in our data. Okay. On the process and the sharing of the database, the continuing functionality of the DBMS is protection and security measures. How when we say we can protect our data by making some password and some additional security mechanisms in order for preventing unauthorized users from accessing our databases. Okay. Protection and security gaafannu namoota eeyyamni hin kennamin ga'ee data keenyaaf sana fayyadamuu fi eeyyamamoo hin taane ga'ee mataa isaanii hin qabne some different security mechanism idani protect gochuu dandeenya jechuudha. This is another functionality of our DBMS. Presentation and the visualization of the data. Data keenya erga database qabnu sana bifa table-tiin, bifa chart-tiin, bifa bar graph-tiin akka barbaanne hundaatiin data keenya for another additional user, for external user, for our audience akka nuyi data keenya present goonuu fi nu fayyada jechuudha database. Maintaining the database and associated program over the lifetime of the database application. Database keenya at the time some problem may happen, we can use a DBMS for maintaining our database, some troubleshooting, solving the problems that may be faced in our database. Kana hundaaf nu fayyada jechuudha database management keenya. These all are, and it is not only this, there are many functionality of DBMS, but for the time we can understand these all things. So general DBMS functionality or construct the database, define the database, manipulate the database, sharing and the protection of the database, presentation and the visualization, maintenance of the database. For all these things, we can use our DBMS. The DBMS serves as the intermediary between the user and the database. So it is used as the interface between the users and the database. By using these DBMS, we can access our database. So that is why we say it is the intermediary between the users and the database. The other one is application of the database. If it's DBA database is this all, where this database is going to be applied, at where place we are going to use our database, or the application of our database. For example, it can be applied in the banking system. In banking system, for all transaction, we use a database. So basically, it is a backbone. Okay, the database is a backbone in the banking system. Banking system it is a backbone. All transaction may be done through the DBMS. Okay. So database can be applied in the banking system. It is also applied in airlines reservation schedules for reserving a ticket, for making the schedule for schedules, for all things we use the database. So it can be applied in airlines. It can also applied in universities. It can be applied in universities for registration, for grades, for everything. For the all things that available in that, all things that available in the university was accessed through the database and the money managed by the database. So it can be applied in the universities, in sales, or generally in e-commerce. It can be applied in online retail, in manufacturing, production, in human resources. Every employee's information is going to be hired by the database, okay, managed by the database. Again, wait me take 5 minutes for arranging some things. So this is all about application area of a database. It may be applied on more than these areas, okay. But can I by it is applied to the banking case at basic purpose. Airline case at the university case at this sales case at generally to customers, products, purchase for e-commerce case at or retailers, manufacturing, human resources, application area bakka inni apply bakka inni hojii hojjetu bakka inni itti gahee qabu jechuudha waliigala application area gaafa jennu. The other one, database can be very large, okay, from the small, from the individual person to the company to the country, you can use a database. From the individual, when we start from the individual, in our personal computer, we are storing many data on the database. Then we can gradually increase and change it. Then up to the country, we can use the database. So it is very large. Database touches all aspects of our lives. It can all aspect touch all aspects of our life. We are database database touch all database. It's all about application area of a database. The other one is University keessatti maalitti akka itti fayyadamnu normally new student yaaddi gochuun structure yaaddi gochuuf course yaaddi gochuuf student register gochuuf gradii barattoota argisiisuuf akkasumas gara human resource keessa human resource university gaafa fudhannu hojjettoota hunda isaanii information isaanii walitti qabachuuf bara kam akka qacaraman qabxii hammamii fidanii akka qacaramanii kaffaltiin isaanii meeqa ta'e all things we can use a database for us. this or everything. So application area and database kind of a for example, a database that stores student and course information. Fakkin application areas are so we can see go back and from the previous slide, remember about the functionality of the database. We have said it can define the database, construct the database, and also manipulate the database, share the database, protect the database, maintain the database. Functionality database. Keessatti kana teebilii kana yoo ilaaluu barbaadne, for example, when we say the database can define the database management system can define the database. For example, name, student, class, teebiliidhaa fi roowudhaan kolomaniidhaaf roowudhaannee fi gaafa database kana ibsaa arrange godhachaa jirru, we are defining the database. We are defining the database. That was one function. That functionality, we can see all that functionality within this table. Again, at the second, we have said database DBMS can construct the database. When we say construct the database, it constructs it is data types, it is constraints, and the etc. We have discussed. So after drawing this table and we have this table, now we are filling this data in the table. The name of the students, student numbers, classes, their major courses. We have, when we store this table within the data, we are constructing the database. For example, when we come to the name, we are making the name content as a varchar. Then after it can accept the name. But and the not null, we should have to make not null in order for accepting the name of the student. Then when we come to the student number, we make what is the data type integer or int. Then after we can only insert the number. So we are making what indirectly we are constructing the database. Again, we can manipulate the data. We have said we can manipulate the data in the database management system functionality. How we are manipulating the data? For example, if we type the name of this Brown and only retrieve only the name of these users. When we say DBMS can manipulate the data through the table, suppose we type the name of this person, we can only retrieve the name or the information of this person. Okay. Again, by querying the name of this person or the ID of this person, we can only generate the information related to this person. So DBMS can make what? DBMS can manipulate the data. Share by when sharing the data, we can only sharing this data for many users. Okay, between the users, we can share the data. So the application and the functionality of DBMS look like this. Again, the other topic is file organization versus database approaches. Garaagarummaa file if database ilaallataani. The difference between file processing system and database system is as follows. File processing system is a collection of programs that stores and manage files in computer hard disk. File system in computer maybe it is unrelated data. Not just such like a database. It is a collection of related data and arranged and ordered data. It is only collection of programs. They may be unrelated data. It only stores in a individual computer. File processing system does not provide data consistency. Maybe the difference in data readiness support, the individual person's data that placed in one place and then another place may be different. So data consistency may be available in file processing. Whereas DBMS provide data consistency through normalization. In DBMS, data consistency is organized through normalization. Normalization fayyadamuudhaan inconsistency akkanni baduu fi data consistency data akka jiraatu gochuu dandeenya. Maybe data iddoo lama jiru garaagarummaa kan hin qabaanne normalization kan sirreeffame data consistency may be achieved in the DBM, but in the file system data consistency may be not provided. The data is generally inconsistent. Again, a database is generally used for storing related structured data with well-defined data formats in an efficient manner for insert, update, or retrieval, depending upon the application. Okay. On the other hand, in file system, more unstructured data stored for used for storing arbitrary, probably unrelated file system keessatti walumaa galatti unrelated taate data ta'uu danda'a. Akka database tarreenji ta'ee redundancy badee normalization itti fayyadamne big dataadhaaf itti fayyadamnu jechuudha. File system keessatti data unrelated ta'uu danda'a. Data gosa adda addaa ta'uu danda'a. Maybe big dataadhaafis data huge or large ta'eef nu fayyadu jechuudha. But database system is consistent, it is atomic, it is arranged in proper way and used for storing and retrieving and accessing a big amount of data. Okay, this is the difference between file and database approach. Okay, so if a database file system is not arranged one, it is only used for small small data. It may be if it is used for simply the collection of simply accessing this small program, it may be some drawback. So that drawback may be data redundancy and inconsistency. Multiple file formats, duplication of information in different files. Multi-jiraachuu danda'a file system keessatti data irra deddeebi'e. That redundancy may consume our storage, consume our time, and also it may be consume our work since that similar data is repeatedly coming to us. It may be difficult for us for making some basic decisions since data is going to be duplicated. Inconsistency, data wal fakkaatan iddoo lama jiraate maqaa adda addaa gaafa qabaatu data inconsistency can come to us. This is one drawback or one disadvantage. One disadvantage of file system. Difficulty in accessing data. Gaafa data wal fakkaataa deemu duplication in dhufaa deemu maybe access goone akka barbaanne itti fayyadamuuf illee difficult nutti ulfaachuu danda'a. This is another disadvantage or drawback of file system. Need to write a new program to carry out each new task. For example, suppose we are opening some program on our computer, we should have to notice directory, root directory, which folder it is going to be available. So difficult for accessing the data. Integrity problems, integrity constraint, account balance. So integrating since constant one refi record generally it may face integrity problems. Hard to add new constraint or change existing one. Maaliif change existing waan jijjiiruun haaraatti dabaluun kan nuti ulfaatu file system keessatti redundancy waan jiruuf daataan iddoo tokko ta'a iddoo tokko maqaa adda addaa waan qabaniif redundancy maybe inconsistency duplication adda addaa waan dhufuuf existing waan jijjiiruudhaafis or maal jechuudha difficult hard to change the existing waan gaafannu. For example, in this computer data wal fakkaataani in one folder it may get have another name and another in another folder it may have another name. Then after for changing on the name of that data, maybe we should have to access all folders that the data is going to be available. So it's difficult for changing the existing data. And then atomicity of updates gaafa jijjiiramni iddoo tokko jijjiiramni iddoo tokko akkuma sanatti jira. So maybe it may face some problem. Failures may leave database in an inconsistent state with partial updates carried out. Party way the jijjiiram, then partial parts was not changed. So maybe it made some transfer of funds from one account to another should either complete or not happen at all in file systems. Concurrent access by multiple users. Multiple users can concurrently, simultaneously with each other. They cannot access in file system. Concurrent access need for performance. Uncontrolled concurrent access can lead to inconsistency. Example: two people reading a balance, say 100, and updating it by withdrawing the money, say 50 each at the same time. File system. Security problems hard to provide user access to some, but not all data. User accessing the recovery. These all are some drawbacks or disadvantages of file systems. Again, the other topic is characteristics of database approach. Database approach in Amalota. In the database approach, single repository maintains data that is defined once and then accessed by various users repeatedly through queries, transactions, and application programs. Okay. Database system is simply design gona. Redundancy, inconsistency, undisani, through normalization, was this problem is solved as the design of this data, the database, that problem may not face. by sitting in different place, we can access the same data at the same time simultaneously. Okay, this is one characteristics of the database. The main characteristics of the database approach versus file processing approach is the following. Self-describing nature of the database can be the first database system characteristics is self-description. It can describe itself. Since everything is ordered in the proper manner, it is self-describing one. Insulation between program and the data abstraction. There is insulation between programs, data, and data abstraction. Support of multiple views of the data. Multiple user can view the data and access the data. Share of data in multi-user transaction process. Multi-user can access, share the same time of data. For example, in the student grade system, the database is only one in the university. Different user can access the data, their data by using their ID in the local area network, LAN, the network that was available in that campus only. The user can insert their ID number and access their grades. Upon one user is going to accessing the grade, the another student in another their place can also access its grade. So they can sharing the same data with each other at the same time simultaneously. This one another characteristic of database approach. The self-describing nature of database approach, when we say self-describing nature of the database system, a fundamental characteristic of database approach is that the database system contains not only the database but also complete definition or description of the database structure and constraint. Database in ofima isaa of ibsa jechuudha. Waan hunda isaa of ibsa. Information gahaa qaba jechuudha. Is one characteristic of the database. This definition is stored in the DBMS catalog. Definition akan of ibsu kun self-description in database, self-describing database kun eessa keessatti gurgurama DBMS catalog keessa, which contains information such as the structure of each file, structure file is maal fakkaata, the type and the storage format of each data item, and the various constraints on the data. The information stored in the catalog is called metadata. When I remember the definition we have given for the metadata on the first slide or the first highlight catch up, we have said metadata is data about data, additional description about data. So self-description, we have the future in database metadata. It describes the structure of the primary database. These allow the DBMS software to work with different databases. Database simply self-describe of code ta'ee kun maal DBMS ni application adda addaa kan inni baasisaa jechuudha. Another characteristics, it is important to note that some newer type of database system known as NoSQL database jedhu dhufa jira amma kan database akkasii dhufeera. NoSQL jechuun SQL hin qabu, require metadata. Rather, data is stored in self-described data that includes the data item names and the data values together in one structure. The catalog is used by the DBMS software and also by the database user who need information about the database. In traditional file processing, that data definition is typically part of the application programs themselves. Hence, these programs are constrained to work with only one specific database whose structure is declared in the application programs. Characteristics of the database, data self-description. Database system, database plus metadata. We have discussed about this. Metadata is stored in DBMS catalog with the BMS software and the database user. An example of database catalog for university database. Database catalog in Malaka Fakatu table. Lincoln Walomagalati. So it is characteristics of a database operation. Our continuing topic is installation between programs and the data abstractions. When we say this makes what allows changing data structures and storage organized without having to change the DBMS access programs. In traditional file processing, the structure of file is embedded in the application program. Traditional file processing is structure in data file is embedded era application program. But in database approach, the structure of data file is stored in DBMS catalog. Database approach is more DBMS catalog separate from accessing program. That is program data independence. Programming data and more the information about data is independent. Okay, they cannot depend on each other. So since it is stored in DBMS catalog, it makes what separation between access programs. So it makes program data independent. The character that allows program data independence is called data abstraction. Data abstraction. It generalities the program data independence is called it's already data abstraction. DBMS provides user with conceptual representation. User in conceptual representation of data. Data model is a type of data abstraction that provides conceptual representation in ways that most user can understand. Again, another other characteristics of the database approaches support of multiple views of the data. Multiple view of data support what how the database is going to be support multiple views of the data and how it is going this is going to supporting multiple view of data is going to be the characteristics of the database. The database has many users, each of whom may require different view of databases. A view is a set of database that contains virtual data derived from the database. So the user can, through their using mechanism, different user may can access the data by sitting in different places. So database is going to support multiple views. They are not stored explicitly, but they can use the same data at the same time. Sharing of data and multi-user transaction processing. When we say this, how this is going to be characteristic of the database, multi-user DBMS allows multiple users to access the database at the same time. DBMS must include concurrency control software for that software to ensure that several users trying to update the same data so in controlled manner so that result of the update is correct. So DBMS must enforce several transaction properties. Is how database is going to sharing the data between multi-users, users and the actors of the database systems. This another topic of our today's classes. That means who is going to be users of the data, who is going to be the actors of the database. For example, in large organization, many people are involved in the design, use, maintenance of large database with hundreds or thousands of users. So those persons that are going to be participating in design part of the database, those people that are participating in maintenance of our database, and those that participate in assessing of the database is going to be different users, okay, different users. So we will see these things in this topic. Based on their interaction with the database user will be divided into two. Database user into kun akkaataa isaan database itti fayyadaman sana irratti hundaa'uudhaan bakka gurguddaa lamatti isaan qonna. Isaanis eenyudha? Actor on the scheme, worker behind the scheme. Warra gurguddaa kana akkaataa isaan itti fayyadamanii maaliif akka isaan itti fayyadaman based on their interaction with the database. Akkaataa isaan itti fayyadamaniif maaliif akka isaan itti fayyadaman irratti hundoofne userii kana user of the database kana bakka gurguddaa kana lamatti qonna. The first one is actor on the scheme, worker behind the scheme. You will see them visually. Actor on the screen were who was the actor of the screen. Actor on the screen, people whose job is involved in the day-to-day use of large database. Okay. Guyyaatti large database duuka interact godha warra oolan itti fayyadamaa warri oolan they are actor on the screen. Okay. Those actors on the screen can be database administrator, database design, end user, system analyzer, and application programmer or software engineer. So database administrator is one actor on the screen of the database. Database designer is another actor on the screen of the database. End user is another actor on the screen of the database. Lastly, system analyst and application programmers, those things with each other, they are called as software engineers. Those are actor on the screen of the database. Where we see them actor on the screen individually by separating them each other. Who is database administrator in the database? How it is going to be the actor on the screen of the database. Database administrator in any organization where many people use the database, the same resources, there is a need for a chief administrator to oversee and manage these resources. Maal jechuudha kuni organization guddaa keessatti namoonni baay'een userii baay'een database gaafa fayyadamanii eenyuun barbaachisaa namicha adimiin godhu database sana rakkoo uumamu useriidhaaf haala kan mijeessu gaaf problemin uumamu problemii sana solve kan godhu namni database sana hoogganu namni data problemii uumamu useriin gaafa fayyadaman maal akka isaan fayyadamuu qabu user problem that face the user kana hunda namni hoogganu jiraachuu qabu. Who is that? Database administrator. In database environment, the primary resource is the database. Database environment is users in resource in jalqaba primary resource in database. And the secondary resource is the DBMS and the related software. DBMS software in related DBMS software on the secondary resource. Database administrator responsibility godon. Egaa namichi kun userii guyyaa guyyaatti namoonni keenya database keenyatti fayyadaman kana ta'e what's the responsibility of that person? Maal godha jechuudha. Administering primary and secondary resources. Primary and secondary resources as well. The primary resource in database environment is database itself. Database administrator. Secondary resource database management system software and related software. Kana lamaan seeraan admin godha jechuudha. Who database administrator. Authorizing access to the database, giving the permission for the users access to the database. Who is going to be access our data? Who is going to be not access our data? Who is allowed for using our data? Who is denied for you from using our data? The person that is going to do these things, such like giving authorization, allowing, and denying, is going to be the responsibility of database administrator. Again, the other responsibility of database administrator is coordinating and monitoring the use of the database. Coordinating how the user is going to use the database, monitor the use of database. What they should have to you, what they should have not to you. Acquiring software and hardware resources needed. Software that's needed for you accessing the data, hardware needed for accessing the data. This thing is going to be acquired by what? Database administrator. Accountable for problems such as security breaches and poor system response time. Whenever some user is accessing the data, if the response time is very slow and the user is not getting the response within a given time, so this problem is going to be identified and solved by whom? By database administrator. This is all responsibility of database administrator. One part of actor on the skin of our database. The other user or the actor on the skin of our database is database denier. Who is a database denier? How it is differentiated from database administrator. Database denier responsibilities include what's the responsibility of the database designer? Identifying the data to be stored in database. Choosing appropriate structure to represent and store the data. Communicating with the database users and understand their requirement in order to design the data. Database administrator erga database hundisa design ta'e qophaa'ee dhufe useriin itti fayyadamuutti kaani userii kamtu fayyadamuu qaba kamtu fayyadamuu qabu rakkoo akkamiitu userii mudate maal software akkamii fayyadamu useroonni hardware akkamii fayyadamu achi booda immoo response time is maaltu in the using time what problem is going to be facing our users and our database and the DBMS software kana hunda kan qo'atu database administrator. Database designing garuu achitu hin ga'ini database keenya design godha. Database gaafa design godhu immoo maaltu barbaachisa data kanaaf structure akkamii barbaachisaa jedhee kan adda baasu database designeridha jechuudha. Kanatti isaaniin adda baasuu qabdu. These tasks are mostly undertaken before the database is actually implemented and populated with the data. Yoomidha database designer inni guddaa hojii isaa kan inni hojjetu before the database design is undertaken. Yetu database design hin ta'ini maal nu barbaachisa database kana design gochuudhaafi maal immoo nu barbaachisa maaltu structure in database keenya maal fakkaachuu qaba. So generally, database designer before the database is designer, these things should be understandable and these things should be followed. Okay, this is how database designer and the database developer is differentiated. Other one is end users. From actors on the skin, end user. Who is end user? End user is the people whose job is require access to the database for querying, updating, and generating. End user can be categorized. End user in warra day-to-day database erga design ta'ee dhufe database itti warra fayyadaman jechuudha walumaa galatti. Isin nuuf isin walumaa galatti namoonni userii namoota database sanatti fayyadaman jechuudha walumaa galatti. End userin immoo bakka adda addaatti qoodamu. Casual users warreen nu occasionally access the database but they may need different information each time. Typically middle or high level managers of other occasional browsers namoonni warra akkasii eenyu jedhamu casual end users jedhamu jechuudha. The other end users inni kan biraa jechuun the other end user is naive or parametric end users warra akkasii constantly querying and updating the database using canned transaction. They are constantly making what? Querying and updating the database using canned transactions. Another end user is sophisticated end users. Those things are those who deeply understand for designing the database. So such like sophisticated end user maybe they may be the engineer, they may be the scientist, maybe the business analysis. Warra akkasii immoo maal jedhamu jechuudha sophisticated end user jechuudha. Akkuma maqaan isaanii ibsu isaanii fayyadamuun isa rakkisuun they may be change and design the database. The other end user type is standalone end users. Okay, standalone end user warreen immoo standalone end user warreen nu maintain personal database by using ready-made program packages. Warra akkasii standalone end user jedhamu jechuudha. System analysis and application programmer warri jennuun immoo software engineering. System analysis determine requirement for end users and develop specification for canned transaction. Maal godhu system analystiin kuni walumaa system analystii fi system program application programmeriin so warri software engineering jedhaman kun maal godhu system analystiin jalqaba systemni wayii software wayii database kana develop gochuu barbaanne analyze godhu jechuudha. Kana barbaachisaa rakkoon kanaa waan jiramuu fi since this problem was there for solving this problem, we should have such type of application should be developed for solving such like problems. By saying such like things, they should have to analyze the problem. After system analyze the problem, what will come to continuing to this based upon the analysis made by from system analysis, the application programmer is going to be develop some application that may solve the raised problem. Okay, system analysis rakkoo jiru qoratanii rakkoo sana adda baasanii rakkoon kun waan jiruuf rakkoo akkas akkasiitiif application akkas akkasii develop ta'uu qaba. Applicationiin akkasii immoo probleemii akkasii solve godhaa jedhanii kaa'uudha. Probleemii sana fudhatanii immoo probleemii identify sana irratti hundaa'anii applicationiin programmeriin immoo maal godhu applicationii probleemii sana solve godhu rakkoo sana solve godhu develop godhu jechuudha. Warri kun walitti maal jedhamu they are a software. So this application programmer test, debug, document, and maintain this canned transaction. Walumaa gala system analysis irraa problem analysis ta'ee dhufee furuudhaa fi application akka develop godhu jechuudha. So system analysis and application program with each other they are going to be otherwise done under software engineers. Workers behind the screen, another type of users of the database. Worker behind the screen. Actor behind the database, user database akkaataa fayyadama isaaniitii fi haala isaaniitti fayyadaman irratti hundoofnee bakka lamatti qoodnee irraa yaadachuu ta'e. We have categorized the user of database based upon the level of interaction. Based upon the level of interaction, we have categorized the database, users of database into two types. Those are actors behind the screen and workers behind the screen. In actors behind the screen, we have seen database administrator, database designer, and also system analyst and application developer, and these all things we have seen under actor behind the screen. Again, the another type of database users based upon the level of interaction is worker behind the screen. So, who is worker behind the screen? Worker behind the screen, those who work to maintain the database system environment, but not actively interested in database contents as part of their daily jobs. Daily job daily performance from day to day work isaanii keessatti fayyadaman garuu maintain godhu develop godhu gaafa rakkoo mudate jedhu maintain godhu jalqaba develop godhanii mul'atu. So they are not daily interacting with the database. Who worker behind the screen, they deal with the design, development, operation of the database environment. They are not interested in database itself. Means that they are not using the database from day to day in their day-to-day work. Only they develop, they solve the problem, and they leave that database. They give for the actors behind the screens. Okay, they can be system designer and implementers, tool developer, operation and maintenance personnel. Warra kamii ta'uu danda'u jechuudha isaanii worker behind the screen kuni system designer and implementer inni ta'uu danda'u, tool developer dha, operator and maintenance personnel. Warra akkasii worker behind the screen. Also, we see them each separately and each individually for further understanding. System designer and implementer design and implement the DBMS module and interface package. DBMS module interface package. DBMS developer. Tool developers. Persons who design and implement tools, software package, those persons who are going to be implemented, develop tools, such software, general software packages, or going to be the tool developer. Operator and maintenance person, responsible for actual running maintenance of hardware and software. Hardware and software in Kenya can run the OJIGA can one barbada for the developed person. Operator and maintenance person generally warri kun sadaniidha worker behind the screen. Database ittiin fayyadamanii isaan hojii isaanii inni guddaan develop godhanii akka user itti fayyadamuuf nuu kennanii keessa also they are not from day to day they are not interacting with the database. Okay. Components of database environments. Our today's last topic is the components of DBMS environment. DBMS environment in component hardware components may be available. Can range from PC to networking component. Component in kun hundi isaanii walitti dhufanii DBMS environment keenya hardware PC keenya computer keenya ta'uu danda'a. Maybe client computer, server computer, maybe tablet. What device we are going to use? Those hardware are going to be one component of our data DBMS environment. Software or DBMS software, operating system, network infrastructure. If necessary, if we are going to need network software, this is one part of software components, and also the application programs. Those are software component of our DBMS environment. The data, hardware software, the data should be available. For what? Used by organization. The description of this data called the schema. The description of the data and the data itself should be available in order for making environments of the database. Lastly, the components should be available in procedure, instruction, and rules that should be applied to the design and the use of database and the DBMS and the people. So hardware qabaanne, software qabaanne, data qabaanne, procedure step by step procedure follow rule and regulation qabaanne maratti uummata people in the user that are going to use the database. Those things with each other make what? The components of our database management system environment. Okay, these are all of what our chapters 1 introduction to the databases looks like. Generally, for as a summary, today what we have seen definition of the DBM database, what data looks like, data, unprocessed fact or figures, information, processed fact or figures used for decision making, database, the combination of the DBMS software and the data that is going to store similar data for assessing and using by various users, and also DBMS, database management system, the software used for assessing our database, and also the software that interact are used as the intermediary part between users and the users of the database and the database itself. And also we have seen some basic functionality of DBMS, okay, functionality of DBMS such like constructing the database, defining the database, sharing the database, and also displaying, presenting, and visualization of the database, protecting the database. Those all things are going to be basic functionality of the database. And also we have seen what characteristics of the database means that self-describing feature of the database, multiple user can access our database, multiple view of the database, basic characteristics of our database. We have seen in these chapters, and also we have seen the difference between file processing and database approach. File is going to be collect related data used for a small data system. There may be a data inconsistency and the data redundancy may be available in file approaches. So for solving this problem, we come to the database approach. That may be the data inconsistency, data redundancy is removed through the normalization thing. In this, we have seen the difference between this database and the file processing approaches. And also we have seen user and actor on the skill. Based upon the interaction and their interaction with the database, we have seen two within the two basic type of users of the database. Those are actor behind the skin and worker behind the skin. Those actor behind the skin are those that are day-to-day, their day-to-day work is going to be make them interacting with the database, such that like system administrator, database designer, and also application programmers and the etc. We have seen, and actor behind the screen, and the other basic type of users based upon their interaction with database is going to be worker behind the screen. Those their work is not interacting them with directly accessing the database. They only solve the problem, design the database, and out from using the database. Such like workers are designer and programmer, implementer, tool developer, and lastly, we have seen what application area of the database, where the database is going to be applied. We can apply the data generally in our day-to-day activities and to our general life. So database can be applied in bank system, in airlines reservation, in e-commerce, in university, and etc. Application area of the database, we have seen it. Lastly, we have seen environment of DBMS. In order for making the environment of the DBM, what the environment of DBMS will look like, we have in a software, hardware, procedures, what rules and regulations they have to follow, data, lastly people. Those things are going to combine with each others and make DBMS environment. This is all about chapter 1. We have discussed. If you have any question, Uncle Iradia, and any suggestion and a comment, leave the under the comment section. And for today, that is enough, I think. In the coming video, we will start chapter 2 about the database system architecture. Okay. Thank you for the time, for your time, and for following me. Hopefully you have understand something from this video. In order for understanding more things, go back to the first video and see something from course contents and the course outline video that I was prepared in the previous one. Okay, thank you. Have a nice time. Today we will grow up. Thank you.